What's up? Steve here. So I just wanted to put something on video, kind of going over the basics of what I'm trying to do and what this is all about, this website, this idea of lifestyle coaching. And it kind of started a long time ago with an idea of the gym. I used to run a CrossFit gym down in Costa Mesa, down in Orange County, California. And what I found was, as I coached people through fitness and nutrition, all this other stuff would come up. All the other emotional, mental, and physical, other physical problems and challenges in their life. And then just work stuff, relationship stuff. It all would impact their ability to kind of follow through on the diet and do the workouts and stuff. And so I used to teach them that I wanted them to, and I still teach this too to everyone, but I wanted people to work as hard as they can and be able to walk away from that workout and say, you know, that was an 8 out of a 10 in terms of intensity and effort. And if you could walk away with an 8 out of 10, you were doing pretty well. So, but that was relative, and I wanted everyone to remember that it was completely relative. It's relative for your life today. It's relative for your life at this moment. So, you know, if you're going through a divorce and you've got some behavior problems with your young kids, they're having a tough time dealing emotionally with the divorce, you're having a tough time with the divorce, your workouts are not going to be so good. And that's just the bottom line. So that's okay. And so this idea of relative intensity. But anyway, the workouts and the diet kind of brought out all this other stuff. And so it ended up being quite a bit more coaching than just diet, nutrition, and workout stuff. So it kind of evolved from that. And I had a lot of personal experiences, some major life events happen. You know, that kind of further pushed me to explore things more in the mental, emotional, relationship stuff, and kind of learn much more about that. And so I started kind of pulling all this together, and it kind of became a summation, like a synthesis of these different things. And then most recently, a guy named Tai Lopez, I was really inspired to start his 67 step video series, and that's had a pretty big impact on things. And ironically, it's actually a lot of the same stuff that I would have taught in Tai's place, and that I advocate as well, because they come from the kind of the greatest philosophers and writers and thinkers and movers and shakers, and you know, the guys not only just thinking and writing this stuff up, but actually doing it. So that's kind of how it evolved. And so what it is, we focus on the four really big pillars that I think of when I think of a human, just any person dealing with, and Stephen Covey kind of talked about this in his book, First Things First. You've got the physical side, the mental and emotional side, and the relationship, and I include a spiritual side as well. And all of these things are interdependent. They interrelate with each other. They interact with each other all the time. So if your physical health is diminished and a challenge, and things are going sideways for you, that's going to impact the mental and emotional and spiritual life as well, and vice versa. The mental and emotional challenges in life are going to affect your physical and mental and emotional and spiritual. It's all one thing. Mark Twight taught me. He's a coach, trainer, author, just general hardcore dude out of he runs a gym called Jim Jones, and it's becoming quite popular. You might see it in Men's Health and different magazines and stuff now with Rob writing. But Mark taught me that the whole body's one piece, and he was making a reference to this idea of like core training and people kind of segregating different parts of their body. But in reality, when you go to actually do something physically, it's all one piece. Your mind and your brain cannot distinguish muscle groups. It can only move. It doesn't know what muscles are involved when you run. It's just you're just running. So he was making this reference to one piece of the body, but I think it's a much bigger. I kind of expanded on that and think of our mind, our body, our relationships. It's all one thing. It's all one being. And so when those are unhealthy, they affect each other. And so what this whole project's about is working on health in those four major areas: the physical, mental, emotional. I kind of lump those together. Relationships and spiritual. And the goal, everyone's goal, if you ask me, everyone on the planet is looking for abundance in the four major things that Aristotle talks about in the good life, which is health, wealth, love, and happiness. And happiness is kind of the summation that everyone chases after. Everyone's looking after health. Happiness. And those other things have a major impact on our happiness. There's some really cool recent new thinking, new studies about wealth and money and its impact on our happiness. And how much money does money buy happiness? Essentially, was kind of the question. The magic number was 75 grand. And I think I kind of did a little blog piece about this, but $75,000 a year, and they've kind of essentially found that over $75,000 a year did not increase the happiness, but less than 75 grand had a huge impact on your unhappiness. And I think this has a lot to do with your ability to a lot of different things. The physical piece, being able to provide the basics, shelter, food, transportation, diapers, just basic stuff for the family. But then also as I think there's emotionally and mentally some hardwired stuff in men and women that there's a deep need in our being to as men to conquer, to provide, to kind of do this stuff. And so if we're out there getting our butt kicked and not making any money, not able to provide for our families, that's going to have disastrous impact on our emotional state, our relationships with our spouse, our significant other, and physically it's extremely stressful to not make enough money, and that's going to have an impact on everything else as well. So that's just one example and one kind of recent thing. And so we take all this stuff and we kind of synthesize it, like, okay, now what do I do? How do I live? What does this all mean? And so I go through kind of step by step a lot of stuff. And if you see in some of the testimonials, you'll kind of see how most of those are focused on previous personal training clients or people that I kind of coached very intimate's not the right word, but personally close at the gym quite a few years ago. And you can kind of see the crossover into some of these other aspects and how dramatically their life has changed now. So that's kind of the basics. I do this all because it is just incredibly important for me to empower people. That's my thing. That's what gets me going. That's what energizes me. For me, it's all about empowering, coaching, education, and really the research, the education, the reading, all the stuff that I do in the background is so that I can share it and empower other people. And Carl Jung talks about the shadow and the dark side of these gifts that we have, and these strengths and these real passions that we have, and sometimes we have to be careful with the downside of my heart, my passion for coaching and empowering is rescuing and enabling. That's the dark side of it. So I've got to be careful with that. But that's why I do it. I love it. The empowering. There's you can see again in some of those testimonials, you can see kind of the empowerment that they walk away with. And in the gym, it was always something that I try to teach and coach and remind people of. It's like, it's all fun and games in the gym, and it's a good time and it's meaningful. I mean, our bodies are going to decay, and we want to try to keep them healthy, and we want to try to keep them going as much as possible. And as we age, we want to age well. And so, but it's going to decay. And the reality is too, going in and doing a deadlift or doing a squat or doing whatever you're doing in there is great. But a lot of times that's where it ends, especially when you go into these big corporate gyms. I see a lot of these guys, and they're segregated. They've got their gym life, and then they come home, and then they're a completely different person, and then they may or may not go to church on Sundays or whatever day, and they're a different person there, and that's, just kind of examples. But the point is that when you do deadlifts, when you do these strength building exercises and stuff, you want to be able to walk away and carry that with you. So it's not just about the deadlifts, and this is something I kind of learned from Dwight again at Jim Jones. He talks a lot about how the mind is primary, and it is, absolutely is. I completely 100% agree. So for me, what that means is when you walk away from the gym, that there's something there's something in there that you can take with you in your day-to-day life when you go back to your job, whether that's in a hospital or a desk, a cubicle, which is a lot of people's situation. They sit at a desk all day long. But the confidence, the strength, the health, all these things that you get from just doing your workouts, we want to be able to take that away. We want to be able to take that into our regular lives, and that's the piece. So it's like, just to kind of tell them, doing a big deadlift is great. I fully support it. I'm a huge fan. But it's the confidence and the strength of character to persevere that really transcends, that's really transformative. So all of these things are all about a metamorphosis, a change in the person, empowering them, starting to take steps towards their potential in all these different areas, and starting to realize, and basically at the end of the day, happiness, true, honest happiness. And again, Aristotle talks about kind of different levels of happiness, and first being just pleasure, kind of a hedonistic, just kind of living for, you hear this a lot, that's the YOLO, you only live once attitude. It's not very helpful. It's very costly in terms of health, wealth, time, energy. You spend your energy chasing after things that are fleeting. So that's kind of the first level of happiness. It's not true happiness. What I'm talking about is kind of at a higher level of happiness, a life fulfillment, purpose, meaning, these kinds of things. And so anyway, that's now a long video about what it is we're doing, what, how, and why. And if you're interested, I hope you are. And if you're interested, feel free to contact me in any way that is convenient for you. We're on Facebook here. I'm on, email. Obviously, email. That's kind of redundant. That's kind of a silly thing to say, but yeah, just contact me any way you can, and then let's get talking. See how I can add to your life and help you chase down the four big things: health, wealth, love, and happiness. So, all right, thanks.